At 3:07 a.m., my phone vibrated so hard it slid halfway across the nightstand. The screen lit up the dark bedroom like a warning flare. Same number again. Community Association Office, call number 20. And in that moment, half awake and staring at that glowing screen, I knew something with absolute certainty. This wasn't a request anymore. This was the exact second they crossed a line they were never supposed to touch. I moved to Maple Ridge for quiet. Real quiet. Not the kind real estate agents talk about, not the fake peaceful community buzzwords. I mean the kind where you can hear gravel crunch under tires from 100 yards away, where trees swallow sound, where nights feel sealed off from the rest of the world. My place sat at the very end of a long gravel stem that branched off the main loop, tucked behind a natural line of trees, just far enough removed that I could live on my own schedule without anyone watching me come and go. I worked odd hours back then, late nights. Sometimes I wouldn't get home until after midnight. I wanted one thing when I pulled into my driveway separation, one solid barrier between me and everything I left behind out there. That's why I built the gate. It wasn't some luxury showpiece. No gold trim, no keypad with flashing lights for attention. Just a heavy steel automatic gate, clean lines, quiet motor. I paid for the land. I poured the concrete myself. I pulled the permits myself. Every inch of that gate sat squarely on my property, not an inch past my line. It wasn't about control. It was about certainty. Apparently that offended someone. The first time Mara Caldwell showed up on my porch, she didn't knock so much as announce herself. Clipboard tucked under her arm hair sprayed into an immovable helmet smile already loaded like a weapon. She didn't introduce herself. She didn't ask how I was doing. She scanned my porch like she was inspecting a military barracks. "Your gate," she said, tapping her pen against the clipboard, "needs board approval before it can be considered compliant." I'd been expecting that. Something in the tone of her earlier emails, vague, passive-aggressive things about community cohesion and shared access concerns told me this wasn't going to be a friendly conversation. I opened the door wider, reached inside and pulled out a folder I already had ready. I didn't say a word. I just handed her the page. It showed my parcel clearly. Excluded from the HOA declaration. Separate. Stand alone. Not governed. She read it. I watched her eyes move across the page. I watched the moment she understood it, and then just like that, she ignored it. "Well," she said, forcing a smile that didn't reach her eyes, "even if your parcel is technically separate, your gate impacts the community. We've decided to adopt it as the rear community gate." I stared at her, let the silence stretch. "You've decided," I repeated. She nodded like that settled everything. "You'll need to provide a physical key and the master access code so we can manage security protocols. No hesitation, no doubt. Just entitlement delivered like policy." "No," I said. Calm, steady. "This gate is on my property. The community has a main entrance. Emergency services use that. You won't be getting a key." Her smile collapsed instantly. "You'll hear from us," she snapped, already turning away. And I did. Emails. Flyers shoved into my doorframe, letters referencing bylaws that didn't apply to me, a bill for HOA dues I never owed. And then the thing that really caught my attention, a neighbor sent me a real estate listing. There was my gate front and center photographed like a trophy. "Exclusive gated community access," the listing said. My gate, my driveway, my land. I wasn't angry yet. Not really. I was something else. Focused. Because I don't explode. I don't storm offices or go door to door yelling. I don't weaponize emotion. I observe. I collect. I document. When people like Mara think power is a personality trait, they tend to leave fingerprints everywhere. Then came the night everything snapped. I went to bed just before midnight, bone tired. Phone on vibrate. I figured nothing mattered enough to pull me out of sleep. At 2:48 a.m., the first call buzzed. I ignored it. Second call, third, same number. By the fourth, I answered just to tell them to stop. What I heard was chaos. Music thudding, people yelling, someone arguing in the background, and cutting through all of it, sharp and frantic, Mara's voice. "Why is your gate locked?" she demanded. "Because it's a gate," I muttered. "And it's 3 in the morning. We have guests who can't get in," she shouted. "The code isn't working. You need to come open it now and give us the keys." I sat up in bed, fully awake now. Guests for what I asked. "The wedding party," she snapped. "We told them to use the back entrance. There's no parking left on the main road." My stomach dropped. "You directed drunk people to use my private drive." "The community gate," she corrected. "And if you don't open it, you'll be fined for obstructing association functions." That was the moment something clicked inside me. Not rage, not fear, just clarity, clean and sharp. I reached over, tapped record, and let my voice drop into that tone I only use when I'm completely done playing along. "I am not obligated to do anything for you at 3 a.m. Use your main entrance. Do not call this number again tonight." I hung up. They didn't stop. They called and called and called, 20 times, 6 texts, 4 voicemails, threats, demands, enough evidence to bury an entire board if necessary. When the sun came up, I made coffee and opened a new folder on my desktop. HOA evidence. I dragged everything in: call logs, voicemails, screenshots, one by one, calm, methodical. Then came the knocks. 3 sharp hits on my door, caught perfectly on the camera. Mara looked like she hadn't slept. Behind her stood Trent, her loyal enforcer, chest puffed out like intimidation was his only skill. A few wedding stragglers wandered toward their cars like confused ghosts. I opened the door but kept the screen locked. "Keys," Mara said. "No greeting, no pretense. This situation is out of control. You need to provide a master key immediately." "Good morning to you too," I said. "And no." Trent stepped forward. "Look, man, we agreed we could use the back." "We never agreed," I said. "If you have my signature somewhere, go get it." Mara slammed a paper against the screen. "Violation notice, $300. I looked at it. Then I lifted my phone and took a photo of her holding it, her face twisted. "What are you doing?" she snapped. "Documenting," I said softly. "Just like you." Her jaw clenched. "You're playing a dangerous game." "No," I said. "I'm done playing yours. Any further contact goes through my attorney." "You have an attorney," she scoffed. "I do now." I closed the door slowly, deliberately. A few hours later, I sat in a small office across from Karina Hale, a real estate attorney with sharp eyes and no patience for nonsense. I told her everything, played the recordings, let the silence sit after Mara's 3 a.m. meltdown echoed through the room. Karina leaned back and let out a low whistle. They really thought they had power here. "They don't," I said. "No," she agreed, "and they're about to learn that." She drafted the cease and desist with surgical precision. Harassment, misrepresentation, unauthorized use of private property, demanding access to security infrastructure, false billing, late-night contact bordering on stalking. Then the board made their worst mistake. They sent a community-wide email calling me a non-compliant homeowner, obstructing security, warning residents that HOA fees might increase because of me. Within hours, neighbors were knocking on my door. Not angry at me, angry at them. Questions started flying. Screenshots circulated. Recordings leaked. People wanted to know why the board was marketing private property as a community amenity. Why dues were being weaponized. Why a president thought she could order keys at 3 in the morning. Karina filed the lawsuit. The complaint hit them like a freight train. Declaratory judgment, injunction, damages, repayment, attorney fees, regulatory complaints. The next HOA meeting was chaos. Residents packed the room. Mara tried to regain control, but every answer cracked something open. Every replayed voicemail shrank her a little more. I sat in the back silent, watching the board unravel under the weight of their own lies. During mediation, Karina slid the unedited call log across the table. The HOA's lawyer went pale. He whispered something to Mara that made her eyes drop to the floor. That was it. Not a shouting match. Not a dramatic exit. Just the quiet collapse of someone who finally realized her authority had always been imaginary. They surrendered. Every violation retracted. Every dollar refunded. My legal fees paid. A signed acknowledgement that my property was not and had never been under their authority. Every photo of my gate removed. A clause added stating they would never again represent my property as a community feature. Now when I come home late, the gate opens smoothly, quietly, just for me. No wedding guests, no demands, no clipboards. Power isn't loud. It doesn't scream at 3 a.m. It doesn't demand keys to what it doesn't own. Real power is quiet. It stands its ground, collects evidence, and closes the gate firmly on those who thought they could cross a line that was never theirs.